Hi, first graders. We are on Knowledge 4, Lesson 7, Amon-Ra and the Gods of Ancient Egypt. Our first vocabulary word is blossom. Say blossom. Blossom is the flower on a plant or a tree. Our next word is lotus. Say lotus. Lotus is a plant with pink flowers that grows on the surface of the water. So in our previous lessons, we have been learning about Merit and her family in ancient Egypt. So today we're going to continue with the story of Merit and her mother in ancient Egypt, and we're going to be learning about their religion or their belief system. The old stories from Egypt said that some of the gods and goddesses looked like specific animals the Egyptians saw around them in their own country, or a mixture of animals and human beings. For example, one common Egyptian bird was a small hawk called a falcon. The ancient Egyptians believed in a god named Horus, who was depicted as a man's body topped with the head of a falcon. Another of the gods, Sobek, was depicted with a human body and the head of a crocodile. There have always been real crocodiles living along the banks of the Nile River, and they were always hungry. They often try to catch and eat other animals. In the old days, people believed in Sobek, the god with the crocodile's head, so they could pray to him in order to keep real crocodiles away. The Egyptians were careful to say nice things about him. See, they would say, "We made a handsome statue of you, great Sobek, and we will leave meat and fish in front of the statue for you to eat." Another Egyptian god was depicted as a cat, another as a hippopotamus, and so on. Others looked completely human, but were still thought to have special powers. The ancient Egyptians' most important god had different names in different parts of Egypt. Some people called him Amun, some people called him Ra. Sometimes they put these together as Amon-Ra. These were all names for the Egyptian god of the sun, whom they said created everything, including all of the other gods and goddesses. Let's listen as Merit's mother tells her story about Amon-Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun, and what the ancient Egyptians believed about the creation of the world. Merit and her mother were washing clothes down at the edge of the Nile. Merit's mother said Amon-Ra started out by living inside a large, beautiful flower called a lotus. In those days, everything was covered with water, and the lotus flower was under the waves. Finally, Amon-Ra thought, it is time for this lotus to rise up out of the water and open its petals. And because he was so powerful, it actually happens. "That is amazing," said Merit. She turned to set down some wet clothes on a large rock so that the sun would dry them. Her mother replied, "You have not yet heard the most wonderful part. After the lotus blossom opened, Amon-Ra said, 'Now I will make everything else in the world, just by thinking about each thing and using my powers. I will think up other powerful gods and goddesses so that I won't be lonely. I will make stars and planets, the sun and the moon, and the birds, fish, plants, and animals. And I will make the first human beings, too.'" After he made everything, Amon-Ra picked up the sun and put it in a big boat. "The whole sun?" asked Merit. "Yes. Amon-Ra is very strong. He sailed his boat with the sun in it across the whole sky until it reached the other side. Then he rested and did it again the next day. He still does this every day, and when he rests, it is nighttime." Merit thought this over and asked, "Why can't we see him or his boat?" "Maybe he and the boat are too far away, up in the air. We can only see the bright sun shining from the back, or perhaps the sun is so bright we cannot look carefully enough to see the boat. After all, you must not stare at the sun. That will hurt your eyes." Merit said, "Well, I am glad Amon-Ra made the sun, or we could not dry our laundry." And Merit's mother laughed. The end. You may now go ahead and click on the Google Forms to answer the question about today's read aloud.